My name is Julia Barnhart, and I hail from a tiny town in northern New Jersey called Cresskill. Being accepted to Northeastern's NUin program, I was quite confused because it was my first time hearing about this unique opportunity. However, after reading the NUin website inside and out, day and night, I decided this was the way I wanted to start my new chapter in life. Coming from a fearless and venturesome family, I felt the need to prove to them and to myself that I could live 10,358 miles away from home, which is why I chose to spend my first semester in Melbourne, Australia. I packed my bags, bringing the most necessary items of course, said my goodbyes, and traveled from one garden state to another and never looked back. Well, maybe just to say goodbye. Upon arrival, the strange combination of palm trees, sunny skies, and freezing weather greeted me. I immediately knew I was no longer in New Jersey. The eclectic mix of architecture surprised me greatly, and this diversity has turned out to be a recurring theme in Melbourne. This aspect of Melbourne, not only in the buildings but also the people, food, and weather, is what first drew me and continues to draw me to love this amazing Australian city. Getting adjusted to this new life in not only Australia but also Unilodge was not the easiest feat. Learning to room with 3 other girls, 2 of which I have never talked to before, started off on a rough path. Plates, countless cups, and even doors were broken, and tempers were tested between us. However, the bond that was formed based on change, differences, and adventures smoothed the rough path, and the lifelong friendships were formed. Anytime we were away from each other for over 2 days, our reunions were filled with love and longing, because these 3 girls are what felt like home to me in this new country. The NUin staff was also a major aid in meeting others and adapting to Melbourne and Australia as a whole. Trips to local markets, animal sanctuaries, and gorgeous scenic areas have made lasting memories with the greatest of friends that I would have never made otherwise. The trip to the Great Ocean Road was the most memorable venture for me. Experiencing the breathtaking 12 Apostles was utterly mind-blowing, and sharing that with my friends made it that much more special. The weekend trip to Sydney was also an unforgettable experience, especially taking a tour of the iconic Sydney Opera House, something I was not even excited for to begin with. Sitting in the empty theater listening to a sound check literally brought me to tears. It was so moving, I spontaneously bought tickets to a show that night, and it was the best concert I've ever been to. Spring break was a week full of the finest memories, laughs, and sights spent in Cairns, Queensland. Seeing the more scenic side of Australia was a nice change from the city and university life. The days spent at Millaa Falls and the Great Barrier Reef were easily my favorites. The sensations and exhilaration of swimming under a waterfall and swimming with the rare coral and fish of the Australian waters was a true privilege that is unforgettable. But of course, I couldn't wait to come back to Melbourne.
Back to Melbourne!
School and service learning brought me back to reality and took loads of time out of my weeks. Service learning was a new concept to me, however, it was greatly rewarding and presented me with opportunities that I never would have had. Volunteering for a day to help an organization with a big event, for example Parkinson's Victoria and Boop Around the Bay, can truly make a difference. These events were a great way to meet those you normally wouldn't and to get involved in Australian culture, becoming aware of the problems the country faces. My individual service learning project was working in Richmond's Red Cross store, steaming, organizing, and working with customers. This was an enriching experience, and I even had the chance to walk in the Red Cross's charity fashion show and be a model for the day. It was amazing to see how dedicated a team of volunteers can be for one night in order to promote the Australian Red Cross. It was an incredibly motivating environment, and I am forever grateful for experiencing the Australian Red Cross in different lights. In between all of these excursions, service learning, and schooling, I had free time to explore the city and the rest of Australia, finding hidden gems and even going to amazing concerts while making memories with friends. These friends are those that I will truly never forget, because coming to an entirely new hemisphere really creates the strongest relationships. These people have seen me at my best, worst, weakest, funniest, and happiest times. We can laugh and cry for hours about that one time we almost died water rafting over spring break, and have completely non-judgmental outlooks on our socially unacceptable habits. There are the tangible things that I will dearly miss when I leave Australia. For example, the ridiculously good brunches, gorgeous sunsets, and Australian humor. And then there are the intangible that I can take home with me and back to Boston. The intangible are the memories and lessons I have gained through my most life-changing 4 months of my existence. Learning to accept change and failure, learning not to judge on first impressions, and learning to be outspoken yet open-minded are all important messages I now advocate for and try to live by. I want to thank all of those who have taught me these significant lessons without which I would not have grown as a global citizen, a friend, and an individual.